Just checking the audio.
But before that, it was ages. I need to get back into the practice, John. But we're here. We're live and interactive, as I said. And we're here to talk about entertainment news, movie news, music news, sometimes gaming news, but not tonight. We're here. I am Stephen John McLaughlin, one of your co-hosts. Our other co-host, John C. Walsh. How are you doing, John, after last night's shenanigans talking about Creed, Rocky verse, everything that we were talking about last night?
Apple juice.
And me free falling on the old apple juice burst.
Yep, I'm doing
They don't sponsor us, by the way, before anyone says.
Aqua.
Yeah. Where is the beer?
I don't have any decent beers left. It's just beer 52 shite. And to be fair, I found a fantastic Belgian beer in amongst the beer 52 shite. I'm going to buy more. £2.60 worth a bottle. You're going to have Tremendous.
To let me in on that secret, John.
Very good. Very good wheat beer. Very good.
Oh, you can't beat the wheat beer.
A bit of fruitiness.
Yeah, I like that.
I feel like I'm over and I'm going to have to stretch.
I think I'm a little bit over as well. So there we go. But I've got kind of bags under my eyes. I was actually sleeping about 2 hours ago and I woke up. I conked out, but we're here and we're live and interactive, folks, and we're going to be talking about...
How bad does that look?
Shazam. I think that's fine. It's fresh. It's a
lot
fresher than me.
How painful it was trying to put those graphic bars together. That took me 20 minutes.
Try to write that headline.
Shazam 2 opener.
Yeah. John,
hits DCU box office low.
I know obviously the bigger channels have covered this. But it's news. It's probably big news as well, and it kind of takes us into a conversation that we've probably not had for a little while in terms of since James Gunn stepped into the role of leading this DC universe. Something we've not really talked about too much over the last few months. But Shazam 2 opening weekend box office hits devastating DC universe low. Now,
yes.
I'm not too concerned about this. I'll be honest with you. This is the old.
This fucking movie.
This is the old guard. That's a terrible Photoshop. I've got to be honest. I can do better than that. But the background is so clear and the front is so blurry. That's terrible.
And
Come on.
Colour. Yeah. I understand what they're doing. It's the red thing. It's Schindler's List.
Yeah.
But
Pleasantville, yeah.
It's not great. It's never part of the Justice League.
No.
I don't know what you're trying to get at here, Brennan Klein.
Yeah. I mean, we've got Ray Fisher on the side. He's still going on about this whole thing. I get where he's coming from, but man, move on. Shazam.
These guys have.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, these two haven't. Well, he definitely hasn't. Yeah. She forcefully has.
I honestly don't know what Gal Gadot's going to do next, John. But
she's got a kid now, hasn't she? So she's busy.
Yeah,
playing mummy.
I'm sure Patty will sort her out somehow. But anyway,
just wind him up here, Stephen. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. Fucking Microsoft Edge, which I use, just deciding spontaneously that they were going to fling AI shit and a toolbar into the right hand side, and it's fucking the entire capture up.
Who needs that? Anyway, John, Shazam Fury of the Gods is set for one of the lowest opening weekends the DC Universe has ever seen. The film, which opened in theatres on March 17th, reteams director David F. Sandberg with the returning cast members, including Asher Angel as the teen Billy Batson and Zachary Levi as his adult superhero form Shazam. It is a follow-up to the 2019 film Shazam, a largely standalone superhero effort from the connected universe, which was already one of the lower performing DCU outings, making $365.9 million worldwide off a budget of $100 million, John. It's early days, but it doesn't look good, does it?
Stephen, I think that's too bad, to be honest. I know it's low. It is low. I'm just trying to crunch those numbers and see if I've maybe misread something. It was already one of the lower performing DC outings. Oh, is this the first movie?
Yeah, they're talking about
the first movie, $365.9 million off of a budget of $100 million. Because that's not too bad. It's lower performing. But this was a movie that was never expected to do great things anyway. I'm going to go to this white shot and just dabble with this, Stephen. It may be fucking dreadful. I'm just going to dabble with it. I don't know why that's there. We're just going to delete that. No, we're not. We'll switch it off momentarily. Stephen's doing things. He's gesticulating off the camera because he can get away with it. Not a franchise, not a movie that was ever intended. The reason I did this is because some of the most hilarious moments in this show, since we've been doing it, I've came when one of us is on the screen at one time.
Yeah.
But we've still got an issue with a fucking dummy battery, never been replaced.
Yeah.
And I've just got lazy and went to a split shot from one camera.
I like it either way, to be honest
So
with
we
you.
can't really do a wide shot anymore, because if we do a wide shot, it's just the two of us sitting in this room miles apart.
The only thing I didn't like about, obviously, the two camera setup, John, before we go back onto this subject, was that it was balanced on a very shaky table.
It was.
And I was like this half the time, like it's like something out of Star Trek.
This is a shambles, this production, I tell you.
That's okay.
Not good.
It's all live.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why when I go to this screen, it's forcing me to put the actual topic bar up.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand why that's connected to stuff on the other scene, but look, that's neither here nor there. That's not what people are here to listen to, if indeed they're even here to listen to anything, Stephen. Franchise that was never expected to, a sub-franchise within the DCU that was never expected to do great things. It took everyone by surprise how funny Shazam, the original Shazam, was.
Yeah.
How good Zachary Levi was. We've seen the trailers. It was a bit of a joke. The muscle suit, the sort of, what is it, the floss dance he was doing. It was never intended, I feel, to be a serious
John,
movie.
sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine, we'll go back to
it's really just going back to that domestic box office results in terms of Fury of the Gods opening weekend, which opened 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the day, the sequel's projected to have earned a total of $30 million.
$30 million.
That's 10 million a day, isn't it? John, I think it's just unfortunate that Shazam's going to...
Where is that information?
It's going to suffer this. It's just within that article.
Yeah.
You mentioned that Aquaman 2 is going to suffer the same fate. Since the announcement of James Gunn, obviously, stepping into almost the Kevin Feige role, we'll call it, there is going to be that baggage from the previous regime that's going to suffer, and this is going to be one of them, unfortunately. The other thing is about Shazam, John, as much as we both rated it very highly in terms of entertainment, was that we compared it to Big. I'm pretty sure it was one of the, it had the vibes of Big, but there was another film, I can't remember if it was maybe Goonies or something like that.
It was something like that. Another one with Robin Williams, or was that Big?
There's three films we've mentioned. None of them had a sequel. The reason they never had a sequel was because it was a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
And the thing with Shazam is...
And worst of all, Stephen, by all accounts...
It's the same.
Shazam 2, one of the best aspects of the original movie was the very different versions of a character. You had Zachary Levi playing the champion, Shazam.
Yeah.
Then you had, what was it, Bates? Something, the name of the character. He actually just says the character's name. The younger version. Billy Batson.
Batson, yeah.
Batson. You had him very much fish out of water, trying to grasp all of what's happening in his life. He's been sucked into this environment he didn't want anything to do with. Superhero sort of lifestyle. It was almost like what we've seen with a traditional Spider-Man origin story, where his whole life's flipped upside down. His kids, his family, he's not his kids, his sort of siblings, his family, his friends.
Yeah.
Just try to balance it all. By all accounts, they've took zero note of that moving into the sequel, and they've decided to focus primarily on the adult versions, the superheroes, because as you remember at the end it was all superheroes. There was 4 or 5 of them.
That's right, yeah.
The focus on that, and there's not so much of a focus on the younger versions, and that was a criticism I got from the Jeremy Jans review. But this movie's getting mixed responses, Stephen. Some people really like it.
Yeah.
I watched Campea speaking about it. He actually quite liked the movie by all accounts. Likewise, I watched Jeremy Jans. He didn't like it so much. He says it was forgettable. One day on, you would forget it. I think minus 1 day or something like that, he says. And it's out your mind.
Yeah, but it's a popcorn flick, isn't it?
Steve, I didn't know this movie was coming out until a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I seen it on a billboard. I'm like, fucking hell, Shazam 2?
It's not been promoted well here in the UK.
It's not been promoted at all in the UK.
I remember the first one. Every bus shelter had that poster with him blowing the bubble gum.
Yeah.
Every bus shelter you saw.
But I think it's the stakes, Stephen. There is no stakes for this character, because we know realistically James Gunn's come in, and your other man who I always forget his name, the other guy that's such sort of two-man setup now at DC Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And we know that it's not going to move on. We know that there's very little of the established DCU under Zack Snyder going to continue into his universe. There's elements that are going to continue, but in the main it's a clean slate. And I don't see Shazam, after this performance,
Peter Safran,
and obviously James Gunn, I don't see them continuing with Zachary Levi And this character moving forward into their DCU, where they're going to shake things up. They've got their own slate announced.
Yeah, and that means there's going to be casualties.
There's going to be casualties, and this is going to be one of them.
Yeah.
It just is. Tonally, it's not in keeping with the rest of the Snyderverse.
We talked about that.
And I just think it's going to be in keeping with James Gunn's universe.
Yeah.
So
we talked about tonally, John, and we know that it worked for Marvel in terms of Guardians of the Galaxy, but they did it in a fashion that still had emotion in it and stakes. And I mean, I think it opened the door for a rebirth of the Thor character as well, the way they did it. But there's nothing else out there in the DC that's similar to that tone, that's already been or was prepared to be either. You know, when you look at that Snyderverse as a whole, tonally, it was very dark and gritty. Mm-hmm. That's the way it was set up from the Man of Steel onwards. And then we're getting that sort of popcorn flick in Shazam, which was an enjoyable film. It was. We can't sit here and say we didn't enjoy it and it wasn't a good film. It was a really entertaining film.
Was it Mark Strong? Was that the villain in the
first
one?
Yeah.
He was a good villain as well.
Yeah.
And just seeing him with the training wheels on, trying to do the powers, trying to fly and failing horribly. That was what made it so funny. And we spoke about it at the time, Stephen, if they were moving forward with a sequel, where can you really go? Where is the scope with this?
Yeah.
He's either going to be continuing with the training wheels and being a bit of a joke figure, or he's going to be fully fledged monster Shazam, who's nearly on a par with Superman in the DC in terms of his powers and his abilities. And it doesn't strike me as they've went down that route with this movie. Helen Mirren's in there, she's playing the sort of villain turn.
Yeah,
that worried me as well when that got announced. Helen's a great actress, but fucking 70 odds, and she's playing a villain in a superhero movie. That concerned me.
It's almost like Ben Kingsley, isn't it? Iron Man 3,
yeah. It's just, how does that work? But you look at those numbers, Stephen. $30 million in the US is horrific.
Yeah, it's car
horrendous.
Crash,
International, $34.6 million. $64 million. Have we got the budget information for this movie? I don't know if we have, but you've got to assume it's in and around the original $150 million budget.
Yeah, they'll be lucky to make their money back on this.
They need to make at least 2 times, 3 times the budget after promotional stuff. The theatres get their cuts to break or make a profit. There's no fucking way.
It seems like it's just, I don't think James Gunn's going to be losing any sleep over this, John, how this is performing. I think in terms of going forward with this studio and going forward with his projects, this is just in the past. It was in the past when it was in the present as far as James Gunn was concerned. He's looking forward with these franchises and taking them in a different direction, but there can't be a clean cut. Obviously when he's come in, these things were already on the slate in terms of Aquaman 2, in terms of Shazam Fury of the Gods.
Yep.
I can't think of any other ones, if there was any on the pipeline.
So Black Adam.
Black Adam, yeah. I mean, that kind of got in there quick, just before,
and
obviously.
It was a disaster as well, wasn't it, in terms of box office?
So, I mean, I just look forward to what's going to come, I suppose, I think that's all we can do now, and just kind of put this in the past. It's unfortunate because it did have high hopes.
Stephen, again, the box office thing isn't always linked though to the actual movie, how good the movie is, because if you go into Rotten Tomatoes, it's got 90% rating on Rotten Tomatoes from 420 reviews. That's better than fucking John Wick. The audience rate is 82%, so there's a sort of consensus between critics and the audience members that it's a good movie.
I think the people are turning up for the movie are going out because they like the character, they like the first movie. I think the rest of us, well, we will eventually see it anyway, John, but I think people are just going, is there any point?
Yeah.
Is there any point going to see
apathy.
This?
I think there's apathy with the superhero movies, period, just now. Marvel are not really getting momentum. Seem to be hitting the ball out the park with one movie, then it's shite the next movie, then hitting the ball out the park.
We scoffed about fatigue. I think there is that.
I think there's a bit of fatigue, and it's probably the pandemic that caused it, really.
I think so, yeah.
With theatres not really operating to their fullest extent, movies getting pushed back, movies getting put on streaming services, all the TV content, studios repurposing, sort of restructuring their companies to focus on streaming. That changed things, and then we're getting a lot of TV content on the streaming services. The movies came back out. With Marvel, you've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 projects coming out in a calendar year. It's way too fucking much.
Yeah.
Way too much. Bob Iger realised that. That's why he's told him, rein it in.
Yeah.
DC also with James Gunn, he's like a chip off the old block of Kevin Feige. He's seen how the maestro operates. He's a brilliant writer, director, visionary in his own right. He'll get shit right over at DC, I'm absolutely certain of it. I don't know if I want to go and see this movie.
I
really
probably,
good ratings.
Yeah, I probably will see it, John. I probably will see it. I do like, I like the cast from the first film as well. I thought the casting was perfect, and I did like the story, but a lot of it was built on nostalgia. A lot of it was built on common themes, as we mentioned in previous sort of 80s type films as well. They had that kind of, it's that Stranger Things sort of thing that was happening at the time when this came out. You know, everything that had to be Ghostbusters from 84 and all that related, and all that music, you know, Pass the Dutchie and all that, you know. It was just it was an 80s sort of thing that was going on.
It was the same.
Yeah, you know, and exactly.
Because watching a Rogan podcast and they spoke about that, there's a sort of thing with humanity where they've got this obsession. As time moves on, they forget about the distant past and they fixate on the near past.
Yeah.
In the 80s was that thing. I'm sure the 90s will be next. It's fucking bizarre. Nickelback will be in vogue shortly.
Please don't say
and
that.
They say the hero sailors.
That was a nervous laugh.
Not gonna stand here and wait.
Terrible.
That was in Spider-Man. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, was it? Or 1?
I think it was...
Or 3?
2. I think it was 2.
That will be back.
Yeah.
That will be back in vogue. Ryan Reynolds is just waiting for his moment.
Yeah.
To say I was with him the whole way.
Well done.
But yeah, Stephen, $125 million budget in short, man. It needs to make $375 million or something to make a profit. $60 million in the opening weekend.
All went good.
Movies drop off after their opening weekends.
Yeah. They don't.
Fucking God.
They don't get better.
They don't tend to get better. Although word of mouth should be pushing this movie.
Unless it's something like Avatar or something.
Yeah. But even that
Yeah.
opened huge. Just didn't open to
Yeah.
fucking Endgame level. Or the original Avatar
Well, these
level.
films, when they open that huge, they don't worry about the following week.
Yeah, exactly. And it's James Cameron at Christmas.
Yeah. Well,
he knows what he's fucking doing.
Well, that's it, you know. But it is what it is. I will see it. I did like the first film, but I'll take it with a pinch of salt. As you said, John, there's no stakes anymore with the sort of baggage of the old guard in DC. And the best thing to do probably after Aquaman 2 is just have that clean break. Let's start again. I don't know if they'll announce their Superman, who they're going to cast and stuff like that until after all that's done and dusted.
It's been announced that it's Gunn that's directing it. I've seen something about Gunn.
Yeah. What happened to the J.J. Abrams thing?
I don't know if that's happening now that Gunn has took over.
I'm kind of glad, you know that.
I was looking forward to seeing that alternate Superman though, the Black Superman from Earth. I think it was Earth fucking something, I can't remember.
Some number.
It was adapted off of Barack Obama when he went into his sort of, what did he call it? There's a name for it. Presidency.
Yeah.
When he took the office, the Oval Office, someone sort of imagined Superman as a black man, and that's something I'd like to have seen. I'd like to have seen someone like Michael B. Jordan.
John, it might still be in the cards, hopefully. It might still be. Michael B. Jordan would be incredible.
He's very fucking busy though, isn't he?
Yeah. So it's one of those things that I think you'd have to step away from everything else if you're going to get into the Superman role, because it's going to all consume you. It did with Henry Cavill, although he only did it a few times. It just felt like he was doing that, and the odd Mission Impossible, or the odd, what was that other franchise he did?
Yeah, he did the Bond style one, didn't he? God, what was that called again?
Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Yeah, that as well, and obviously The Witcher. But he'll always be synonymous with the Superman character.
That whole Superman thing's a tangent.
Yeah.
Alert. Fuck me, who do you cast as Superman?
Yeah.
I mean, my lord, do you... and I hate saying that, my lord, I need to stop that. I'm aware that I keep saying that. That's drifted into my fucking vocabulary. My God. My God, where do you even start with that?
Yeah.
I mean, is it a new actor we've not heard of, or is it an established name who's still youngish?
It's got to be a new actor, John. That's the way it's... Well, Henry Cavill, he's practically unknown, I suppose. I mean, I suppose film buffs would have known what he was doing before Superman, but on the sort of mainstream level, same with Christopher Reeve. Christopher Reeve wasn't even top billing in his own film. It was obviously Marlon Brando and Gene Hackman, but he was third billing, and he's Superman. It was crazy. But we're going to move on, John.
Yes.
We're going to move on to, we're going back, just like you said, into the 1990s, into rom-coms. Do you remember that genre? Alicia Silverstone wants to sequel. She wants sequel to Brendan Fraser's 90s rom-com. This is obviously blast from the past. We talked about this, I think, last week, John. I mentioned it, didn't I? I know that you said that it sounds good. It's one of those films that you would find very interesting. Although it's billed in this article as rom-com, I see it very much like Pleasantville. It's got romantic elements in it, but it's mostly quite a fun comedic film. And Clueless star Alicia Silverstone says she would love to do a Blast from the Past sequel with Brendan Fraser. The romantic comedy was released in 1999 and stars Fraser as Adam Weber, a man who lived his entire life in a fallout shelter before one day leaving and meeting Eve. Adam and Eve. Weber discovers the modern world with Eve by his side before his naivety and innocence gets them in trouble. It's been 24 years since the film came out, but Silverstone believes there's more story to tell. Silverstone shared her hopes for a Blast from the Past sequel during a reunion panel for Clueless at the 90s con via Variety. Silverstone and Fraser both attended the Vanity Fair Oscar party on March 12, and the former shared her excitement for Fraser's Oscar speech. She said, with Brendan, I would do anything with Brendan. It was so much fun. I just saw Brendan after he won his Oscar, and he's so cute. He talked in his speech about how we all go through this really hard time and you have to grow, and it's part of life that you struggle, and then look what happens to him. So yes, I'm happy to do that. I think she must have been asked the question. The way that's opened with Brendan, it's clearly, would you like to do another thing with Brendan? So when I first saw the headline, John, very much like yourself, I thought, oh, you want to know him now? Yeah. You want to know him? He's been in 20 years in the sort of shadows. But
it's going to be a disaster again because
okay.
The topic bar keeps coming up.
Yeah, and I've kind of read the topic as well. But John, in terms of Blast from the Past, maybe that's something we can do a watch along, something because you've not seen it. I've seen it, but I saw it in 1999 when it came out. Yeah. And I very much enjoyed it. Christopher Walken's in. He plays the sort of stone mad dad to Brendan Fraser's Adam character. And it was one of those films, like I mentioned, those late 90s films, like Pleasantville, it just seemed to be this running line of really good comedy with romantic elements. I'm not calling it a rom-com, it's not a rom-com. Rom-com to me
what you
is...
What you say there though, comedy with romantic elements, that's a rom-com, Stephen.
But it's not like... It's not like a Hugh Grant or a... what's that, Meg Ryan or anything like that. It's not that kind of thing, where I don't find rom-coms funny. This is actually a funny film.
Because it's all British.
It's predominantly comedic,
Toffee humour that you get in Hugh Grant kind of movies. It's like nodding you up.
That was like,
go to a bookshop.
That was like Bill Nye there.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. Bill Nye flits with them as well. He kind of did the
Love Actually.
Love Actually. He's another one that's floating around in those rom-coms. And look, I remember Love Actually, the billboards for that, and I was thinking the cast was unbelievable. It had like 4, 5, 6, 7 household names. Shite.
Martin Freeman, Hugh Grant, the other Hugh Grant. Can't remember his name.
Hugh Grant.
the other Hugh Grant. I call him the other Hugh Grant. He was in Pride and Prejudice, the TV series, and he was in Mamma Mia. Colin Firth. Yeah, he's the other Hugh Grant. I barely remember his name.
Colin Firth, the King's Speech fame.
Yeah,
and obviously your man.
Talking about Hugh Grant, did you see him at the Oscars?
Brilliant, absolutely superb. He came on with I forget her name.
I can't remember her name, but it
basically says you're looking as brilliant as you always did, and then I'm looking and look at me. What was it he says? He said something I can't remember. It was a brilliant. He's get really funny to be fair, Hugh.
Yeah.
In the last 20 years, as he started to lose his sort of boyish looks.
Yeah.
He's became a better individual.
He has. John, I saw him. I think it was
basically
during the promotion.
He's never moisturised his skin in his lifetime. And he's fucking regretting it.
It was a promotion of The Gentleman, which was out 3 years ago or whatever it was, and it was this sort of format where this guy who does this YouTube channel. I'll need to look it up. It's fantastic. You'll like it, John, because food's involved.
Oh yeah.
And this guy takes the cast out. I think it's 4 from the cast out for a pizza.
Is that the same guy that did the Irishman, and he took Pacino, De Niro, and Scorsese out? I think Joe Pesci was there as
pizza?
well.
Because that's what that was.
I don't know if it was pizza, but it was certainly. They went to an Italian restaurant,
and
they were eating and discussing their careers. And it was
could
brilliant,
have been,
brilliant sort of concept.
Great format, yeah.
I think that's the best way to interview, Stephen. It really is. When food's involved, it's just relaxed. You're eating, you're enjoying yourself, you're having a bit of chit chat. That's why Hot Ones is so good.
Yeah.
Not only down to his great, was it Sean or something? Is that what his name is?
Sean Evans, I think his name is, yeah.
Not only is he the greatest interviewer on earth, because he just researches the individuals brilliantly, but just the concept of them being uncomfortable and that almost bringing them out their shell because of the heat was sometimes uncomfortable. I watched the Jenna Ortega one, didn't bat an eyelid.
No, she was good.
Pedro, I've yet to watch Pedro's one. I need to watch that.
I've not seen his yet, no.
As a Chilean, he should be handling his heat.
You would think, yeah.
He should be handling his heat very good.
Yeah.
Very well. I can't speak English tonight. It's going to be one of those shows, and it's only going to get worse as we go on. Believe me, I've been at my high point, and now I spoke of Zeniths. I think I did. That's the word I was talking about. Zeniths last night, and Nadir's last night. I'm about to hit my Nadir.
Yeah.
I've already said, my lord, that's the last time I'm going to try not to ever say that ever again. I am not a religious man. I don't know where that's fucking... I think it's Sam and Colby. I started watching Sam and Colby. Sort of ghost hunting entertainment sort of channel. And they do a lot of my lord or some shit like that. I don't know.
I think of the warden from Shawshank when you say it. Yeah.
Oh my holy ghost.
Disappeared like a fart in the wind.
Fart in the wind.
Yeah.
Alicia Silverstone. Rom-Com. We'll move away from it. I don't know what that is, Stephen, that interview thing you're talking about where it's pizza, but I like the sound of it.
Yeah, I'll dig it out.
Something I'd be up for watching. It's not going to happen, is it?
No.
Brendan's worked blood, sweat and tears, tooth and nail to get to where he is. He's fought tooth and nail to get to where he is after a long time away from the limelight, from sort of A-list standard acting. He's not going to get back to rom-coms. Rom-coms are realistically a dead genre. And I know that kills the likes of Alicia Silverstone and Meg Ryan. It's a poison arrow through their hearts. But it's just reality. That was of its time. It was a 1990s vibe. Yeah. And as I says, humans are obsessed with sort of recent but not so recent history. So I'm sure we'll get to the 90s. We've done the 80s. It's bleeding. We're moving on from it. I'm sure the 90s will become vogue again. The fashion's already been vogue. The Zoomers love the 90s fashion. The baggy arse jeans and fluorescent fucking t-shirts, although I had a conversation about that recently. Don't recall anyone fucking wearing those clothes in the 90s. It was like stonewash, straight leg jeans. It was a kind of
heat detecting material.
Yeah, it was like Fruit of the Loom.
Yeah, it changed obviously with there was another Benetton, United Colours of Benetton. Yeah,
but they weren't that baggy, Stephen.
No.
People, I don't recall being around people wearing.
But I think people were just a lot skinnier through malnutrition in the 1990s.
They just weren't sitting around the fucking house all day because there was fucking nothing in the house. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You had to go out. I was the last generation to play outside.
Yeah.
Kids now are just introverted Morlocks. And I feel for them, I really do. But yeah, 90s.
Books. We've got books.
We'll go back to that. That'll be in vogue. I'm sure rom-coms will come back.
Yeah.
And then at that point, Silverstone can certainly crack on. I don't see Brendan Fraser. No harm to it. I don't see Brendan Fraser being up for a sequel.
Yeah.
Unless it's like sort of... What was the one with Keanu Reeves?
The Lake House?
No, the Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Unless it's something like that, and it's something that really needs to be told. And there is a great script there, and they can do it in a way that's artistic. I don't know.
I think, he's had that brush with A24 now, John. Yeah. I don't think there's any going back for Brendan Fraser now. I think he should do more with that studio. Yeah. Because his acting capabilities and where he's at in his life suits what they do. Whether it be horror or, drama or whatever. He's got the acting chops to do that. And I think going back to doing what he was doing before, that's why we don't see sequels, like rom-com sequels, because as you said, it was part of the fabric of the 1990s and the 80s as well.
Yep.
That's why Tom Hanks doesn't do rom-com anymore, because it's a dead art. You're not going to, as much as Meg Ryan may want to do another film with Tom Hanks will not get near that genre again. He doesn't have to. And it's the same for
I watched
your man Brendan.
Incidentally.
Yeah.
Didn't get rated great, but I don't think the critiques...
Your dad said it was pretty good.
I quite liked it. Yeah. It was decent.
End of the line. I was in there, the Travelling Wilburys,
Yeah,
I heard that on the trailer, yeah.
Playing a bit of an arsewipe in it, but it's pretty good.
Yeah. I like Tom,
human condition stuff in there. It wasn't his best movie by any means, but I actually quite enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But no, it's not going to happen, Stephen, for the reasons you've said. Say 24. I'm sure Brendan's viewing this as a sort of McConaughey moment,
Yeah.
where he wins an Academy Award and he can then use that as a foundation to rebuild his career. Because sadly, female actors or actresses, because I know you're not really allowed to say that now, as they get older, they tend to get shunned and forced out of leading roles anyway. Obviously, Helen Mirren and people like that have shut
Kate
that.
Blanchett, yeah.
Kate Blanchett.
Yeah.
But males don't really have that issue. Male actors don't have that issue. They can have a second wind in their 50s, 40s and go on and really do the business. I mean, you look at Tony Hopkins, oldest actor to win an Academy Award
Yeah.
for Best Actor. So he will view this as an opportunity to have maybe a new golden era and move on and become a really respected drama actor.
Yeah.
Now that he's did it.
Yeah,
And he's
I would love to
earned
see
the
that.
plaudits.
Yeah, I'd love to
And
see that.
directors will want to work with him now.
Yeah.
Serious directors. I'm not saying that he did before wasn't serious, because I loved Brendan when he was younger and I was younger. The likes of Encino Man.
Yeah.
And The Mummy and stuff like that. I liked him, but it wasn't serious work he was doing.
I mean, just for shits and giggles, I think you would enjoy Blast from the Past, John.
No, I would. The vibe, it sounds like Encino Man.
Yeah. I mean, it's a
Man out of
product.
time.
It's a product of its time, and you're right. It shows early signs of Brendan's acting abilities away from the silliness of Encino Man and Airheads, and we saw obviously in The Mummy. That I think this was round about the time. I think Blast from the Past came out just before. It was the same year, but I think it came out.
He's
just
so
before
young
The
looking,
Mummy.
isn't he?
Yeah.
God, he's incredibly
I
young.
mean, he's
I'm
very
gonna try and
rugged
bring it up.
in The Mummy. I mean, the character
Just bring
he
it up
plays
briefly.
O'Connell, is
That's
it?
not him there.
Rick
Yeah.
O'Connell. I think
look how young he is.
It does look very
Crazy.
young there. It probably was just before The Mummy this came out. It probably was.
Yeah, I mean, it
filmed
does look
in-
round about the Mummy era. It's just that he's got a slightly different haircut.
Yeah,
and
probably about 98. This was probably filmed in production at the time, and it was release was 99. But yeah, I mean, there's so many good films out round about that time that you couldn't make now. You couldn't do the likes of a Boogie Nights or a Blast from the Past. The Truman
Check
Show or
Audio
whatever.
Quick,
All these films that came out in 98 and 99. So many good films that we'll probably have to do a show on that itself. The best films of the year, and we can talk about that, because I think the late 90s would be a great talking point.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate. Alicia Silverstone I last saw in one of the Diary of the Wimpy Kid films, and it wasn't even one of the good ones. It was The Long Haul, I think it was called, and it was a new cast. Just wasn't good. Again,
I'm
she's a
trying to remember what
product
she's
of
been in.
Clueless
Have I seen that? Batman and Robin. That's
with
right. Yeah, she
Paul
played
Rudd.
Batgirl,
Yeah, she was Batgirl. Yeah,
That's probably where I recognise her.
yeah.
Probably mostly from. Yeah, she's one of those names that's been floating about for a long time, and also you're aware of her. Just trying to think, Scooby-Doo. That wasn't the live action one, was it? Was she maybe played Daphne? No, Daphne was Sarah Michelle
She
Gellar.
played Heather. I don't know
Heather.
who that is. Yeah, not even one of the main cast.
No, but yeah, it's
Not
a name
Velma.
I've also been aware of, and you look
Yeah.
back, you can immediately recognise her. I mean, I remember her from that era.
Yeah,
Very, very young, the swept back hair. So yeah, I mean, she's also a decent actress, and
yeah,
look, she's also got friendship with Brendan, and she's taking inspiration from
Yeah.
Brendan's words that you can maybe hit a rocky patch in terms of your career and make a recovery. So I wish her all the best, but sadly, I don't think Blast from the Past is going to get a sequel.
no.
But I'm intrigued to watch it.
It's stuck in the 90s, John. And what we're going to be talking about next is all about the
Like what you
1990s.
did there, Steve, that was slick.
Yeah, we're going to move on to our sort of
It was
music
not slick.
section of the show, and it's we're talking about Britpop.
That topic part.
And this is coming in from the NME. I think it was actually last week this came out, but it was something I felt can't really miss this, with the 30th anniversary of the genre and the music
And
that
look who they've
changed
got
Britain. Yeah, I mean,
front and centre.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good shot actually. It's a good
Yeah,
photograph.
that's a really good photograph.
Um,
Just cool as fuck looking. All
yeah,
of them, really.
we're talking about a product of its time as well, John. This Britpop thing, and when people naturally think of Blur and Oasis, I think because of obviously the Battle of the Bands thing in 1995 with Country House and Roll With It, and ironically, I
Country House was
don't
always a better song.
I don't regard Blur or Oasis as Britpop bands. Blur, certainly I knew in 1991, I was still in school when I first heard There's No Other Way. a fantastic song, and this was years before Britpop exploded. Oasis for me were always a rock and roll band, they weren't a pop band, so I don't regard either two of them as Britpop bands. I do regard the likes of Suede, Supergrass, Elastica, Sleeper, Menswear, the list goes on.
Ocean Colour Scene.
I would say so.
Stephen GG's asked what the channel's about. Is this even actually live? You can maybe answer that.
Yeah, well, you're just proving it's live because it's just
you're on the screen, so
well, listen, we are, because I'm taking Juice as well here. GG.
Yeah, it's definitely
Georgius.
The channel is basically entertainment based. We do reactions, we do watch-alongs, we do movie news, entertainment news. Yeah. That's it, really.
So that's it, yeah. So we've just proven we are live because we're replying to you. But we're talking about music at the moment. So and it's a new 4-part series, Britpop, the music that changed Britain with. We'll kick off this weekend. Well, it was that weekend, John, to celebrate the genre's 30th anniversary.
Years.
The series will document the story of the integral British genre from start to finish. There will be exclusive new interviews with the key players who will tell fascinating behind-the-scenes stories and a rare unseen archive of the era's big names. The first episode tells the story of Britpop's rise to fame and infamous rivalries between Blur, Oasis, Suede, Elastica. Some pivotal artists featuring includes Alec James and Dave Rowntree of Blur, who'll talk about
includes Alec James, who's taking a short break from his cheese farm.
Disastrous.
There's no fucking Damon Albarn or Graham Cox in there,
and creating their classic Part Life album. Also, we'll see Liam and Noel Gallagher talking in rare scene. That's archival footage. They're not coming into
no chance
do this. And then obviously
every fucking bit of footage.
And as we mentioned, obviously the Oasis versus Blur thing. It's very fascinating stuff, John. And do you know something? That there was a period, in Britain where it was cool to be part of the UK in the music scene when you had Britpop exploding, you had Oasis exploding, you had the Beatles anthology. I think was happening as well. The 2 new singles from the Beatles. So it was all that period between 94 and 96 was probably peak time for the music industry in Britain. Where did it all go wrong? I'm not sure.
Some would say it didn't go wrong. Some would say the music is...
It evolved.
Yeah. Like Radiohead. They evolved their sound. Radiohead were out at that point, but they seemed to miss being part of the Britpop.
Another early 90s band, weren't they? 92, I remember them.
So they were just in before Britpop then, even though they were a British band, and that first album was most certainly pop. The second album was pop. First one wasn't, was it? That was one with Creep and stuff like that.
Very
that
grungy,
was a bit grungy. Yeah, second one was definitely a bit poppy though, if I remember correctly. Likes of No Surprises and... Yeah,
a bit more up-tempo, wasn't it? Yeah.
What was the other one it was on it? I loved Paranoid Android. It wasn't really pop, I'm talking shite.
Paranoid Android, yeah. OK Computer.
Was Oasis pop? Was Blur pop? Blur, probably a little bit more poppy than Oasis. But Stephen, what I'm going to enjoy about this documentary, I love musical documentaries.
Yeah.
I love listening to the sort of archive footage, guys coming in 30, 20, 40, whenever the time period is, years later, and giving a sort of retrospective look at it, and you get that mismatch. That's what I love so much about the Beatles anthology. You had John Lennon, who'd passed away, by that point 15 years, 14 years. He's coming in, he's present, he's giving his voice from archive footage. But then you've got the older sort of more wiser heads of the other Beatles coming in and rewriting aspects of what he's saying. And you get that just giving you a level of complexity, a level of sort of knowing of what it was like to be around the scene, sort of everything back then.
It's one of those rare
occasions. I really enjoy.
One of those rare occasions, John, you've said you'd have liked to have been my age at that time. I was 18, 19 when this all obviously exploded.
I was only about 4.
And I said to you earlier before we came on air that, you know, although I was very much aware of it and I picked up on most of the singles and stuff like that, my music was more R.E.M. at the time, Nirvana,
fine,
the Beatles, you know, rather than the sort of poppy stuff. But
R.E.M.
it was still a good time to be around, you know. And when you had the Manic Street Preachers as well from Wales, in there as well with you know, Design for Life, If You Tolerate This. Just some great songs. Kevin Carter. Just a great time for the British music scene.
Great time for music period, Stephen. Let's be honest, you did have the grunge stuff going on. You still had the glam rock shit carrying over with the likes of Guns N' Roses still doing their thing. And then obviously you had the American bands like R.E.M. doing their thing. R.E.M. are still, to this day, in my mind anyway, a better band than Oasis and Blur.
Yeah, different
Their
though.
catalogue, their music, the lyrics, the political aspects of it, it's more complex, it's better written, it's just better. The sounds are better. To be fair, Coxon with Blur and his guitar work, he was a far better guitarist than no ever could dream to be. You hear that in Country House, the little amazing riffs they're doing. What was it again? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, looking at both bands' sort of legacy, I would have to say that both those singles weren't the best singles.
Country
House was more sort of commercialised than, and you know, Roll With It is a good rock anthem, I suppose. You know, if you want to play it at football stadiums and stuff like that, it kind of works.
When you think back to it though, and I don't listen to it that often.
No, I don't.
It's one of my least listened to Oasis songs. It's not greatly produced. It's just a wall of noise.
Yeah.
Everything's getting drowned out.
I think Watch the Story Morning Glory wasn't the best produced album, to be fair. If in comparison, it definitely maybe. There was too much going on in it, too many layers.
Yeah.
A lot was lost, you know, and I think Be Here Now was pretty much the same. I think that's why Noel Gallagher went back, the NG mixes that he released maybe 5-6 years ago for Be Here Now. He made, do you know what I mean, sound more like a Bond sort of theme with that sort of orchestral stuff. But it's good, but I get that, you know, overly produced records sometimes it's just not a good thing. And I think
you compare it to Blur, and what always strikes me with Blur is everything. It's almost like the Beatles.
Yeah.
But you can pick things out and they all resonate and they combine to give you a great song. I think Country House, I think other songs.
It's funny though.
It's all brilliantly produced.
You look back to '94 and you pick out the likes of Girls and Boys, for instance. You
I fucking loved that album. I loved Part Life.
And when you look like 4 or 5 years later, they're doing Song 2. Yeah. You know, a totally different sound altogether. I always appreciated that about Blur, that they could have that sort of variety in their act and their sort of evolution and their own sort of music.
Just more switched on, weren't they? I mean, I know Graham
and Tender was a great song as well from '99, I think that was.
Yeah,
I liked that. I liked Tender.
Coffee and TV songs like that. You go through the back catalogue and it's just so diverse.
Supergrass was another one.
Supergrass, I liked Supergrass.
Very much a fun band, weren't they? They were. You could take them serious if you were really into them, but you know, from a sort of top surface. Doesn't make any sense. The surface, you know, surface level. You go. They're actually a good band. Look like they're having a lot of good times.
The memory of them is pumping on the stereo and
good video.
The videos, these big long limbs.
I don't know if you knew this, John. Steven Spielberg actually took a great interest in them to bring them over to Hollywood to try and get them into doing a TV series as a sort of comedy thing, like the Monkeys.
Yeah, because they were funny.
I mean, they're quite comedic and very much didn't take themselves that serious, you know.
That's what you've got to like.
In terms of personalities, not their music. They're obviously serious musicians and they were great musicians.
But moving, I love moving as well. Just it's one of the. I mean, I've listened to acoustic versions of that, and it's just the build up to the different sort of.
I always liked that one.
Tempos.
If you want to go out. I think I can't remember what it's called. Go Out, something like that. It was a
good
song,
band. Yeah, a lot of the Britpop bands. But I mean, I know you're not a huge fan of the genre, Stephen, as you says. I think a lot of these bands were done dirty. We actually spoke about it before we came on. Just the time they came out, they were flung into this genre. And as you say, Oasis and Blur probably don't even consider themselves Britpop. It was just this sort of all-encompassing sort of genre put on them.
The sort of
some of them were brilliant
bands that came after the Stone Roses, you know, and obviously the Seahorses being a sort of
Spiral Carpets
as well from the early 90s. But yeah, I mean that was more the Manchester scene more than anything. You know, that sort of north-west England scene that was going on at the time from both Manchester and Liverpool. The Lads
were brilliant.
Formed into obviously Cast with John Power, but yeah, I mean. It's a product of its time. Certainly, I have listened to some on my Spotify playlist, and I've thought, "Geez, that's aged."
Yeah.
You know, and other ones I'm going, "Oh, I remember that." McAlmond and Butler. I thought they did that song called "Yes," and I thought, "I've not heard that in years." That's a great song.
Stephen, you have to, just for reference, Stephen is even now. He'll come round on occasions and start battering the music out. And I'm like, I kind of recognise that.
Yeah.
I'm still learning for Stephen in terms of music. Stephen's a fucking encyclopedia.
It was my life, John. It was very much
and
my
I
life.
love music as well. I do, and I love that era.
I mean, I don't think there's a day goes by I don't sing. I can't sing, but you know, I just sing to myself or whistle to myself.
You've got incredible knowledge.
I've always got this.
Era.
I think it's an important part of anyone's life, you know, in terms of doesn't matter what generation it is and when you were born. I think everyone needs music in their life.
They do.
Can you imagine life without music?
I don't go a day without listening to music.
Yeah, it's just something about it. Just and the great thing about today is that you know, if you've got a song in your head, you can just reach out and go and listen to it. You couldn't do that obviously in the 1990s. You had to go out and get the CD.
Yeah.
And you had to go to the record shop. So there you are. You couldn't just press download.
What was it called again? What was that one that used to be out in the city centre?
Tower Records, FOP,
FOP,
Virgin Records, HMV.
Stephen, I mean, you've
not
got
there
the
anymore.
digital content, and it is great. The digital content for instant gratification. You hear something, you can search up, and boom, you've got it.
It's good that way.
There's something missing from the experience of going into a shop and feeling it and having it in your hands. I love the smell of fucking video games and stuff like that. You opened up, you could smell the booklet.
Oh, see when you opened up a vinyl. Oh,
I've never experienced vinyl. Vinyl's something I need to get into.
I mean, you can't get it obviously in a certain independent. I think FOP's still there actually in Glasgow. I think they used to have a chain throughout UK, but I think the original shop still exists. But
vinyl's something I have to get into. Kevin's got a vinyl.
He's got a record player, and I think it's a big part of my life. I know it's a big part of your life as well, John. And just I'm glad I was around when Oasis came out. I'll be honest with you, you know, that sort of early 1994. I think, you know, right through to, was it 2009 they split up? There was that period that they just, everything that they did was just gold.
Stephen, I was listening to Radio 1 today, because for some reason I listened to Radio 1, I don't know why, they play shit. Fucking really, like, painted by numbers, populist music. But you can tell the presenters, they're like my age. I mean, I listen to Jordan North and Vic Hope, that's the sort of afternoon. They're my age, and they do a little segment. But I can't remember the name of it. It's fucking something songs. One of them, it was a 24-year-old girl picked Live Forever as her old sort of song, something old. And you could hear the awe of them just listening to it. They were speaking about the song. Yeah. So that genre, even if they don't class themselves as being Britpop, 25, 26, 27 years old, it still holds something. There is something unique about the sound, about the era. And it's the last great era for me.
John, nothing gives me more pleasure than watching YouTubers who react to 1990 songs, because that was when I was a teenager, getting into my sort of adult life. And when I see, you know, teenagers getting into the adult life from now, listening to Oasis or whatever, and getting that reaction and getting blown away with Wonderwall, or getting blown away with, do you know what I mean, or Don't Look Back in Anger, Champagne Supernova. You know, I get a buzz from it.
I remember it. I wasn't as obviously advanced as you. I was a little bit younger, but I do remember.
That's a nice way of saying old. Advanced.
At that time, you were in your teens. I was only like 4 or 5, 6. But I remember Oasis. I remember Pulp.
Yeah.
I remember these bands.
I don't know how we've not mentioned them.
Pulp I fucking loved the lead singer of Pulp. I don't even know his name.
Jarvis Cocker,
But I should know that, but he was a force of nature on the stage.
Yeah.
I used to be obsessed with that guy.
Ask Michael Jackson, At the Brit Awards.
The Brit Awards were fucking epic back then as well. Just the air of violence and malevolence, the drink phone, Robbie Williams getting absolutely destroyed.
You talk about Robbie Williams, John. This is why we needed Britpop, because at that point you had to take that
Spice Girls,
East 17, Spice Girls on the flip side of things. So people that, I don't want to sound like a music snob, but people that were right into the music needed something else, an outlet other than boy bands and girl bands, you know.
But even the era, I've spoke about it. There was something about that era. Even the dance music was fucking better.
Chemical Brothers,
I grew up on a fucking healthy diet.
Fatboy Slim.
Fatboy Slim, Chemical Brothers. Trying to think who else. There was some brilliant, just fucking independent
Junior Senior.
one-hit wonders.
Yeah. Junior Senior. I can't
that was more mid-2000s, wasn't it, though, to be fair? Because I heard that recently as well.
Yeah.
Just some brilliant music back then, and it's gone. I don't know what it is. There is some good music out there.
I think everything's just became more robotic, you know. I think talent shows and things like that are just commandeering things at the moment, and everything's that sort of same way. But everyone sings in that same style at the moment, that sort of breathless way. I don't know
the
where that
Billie
came
Eilish stuff, the whispering sounds. But it's just something about the last 10, 15 years. It just feels there's not really a generation. That's why they're going back and piggybacking off of my fucking generation. And I'm like, bitch, you ain't fucking millennials.
The early 2000s were
Gen
pretty
X.
good, John, to be fair.
They were decent.
There was a lot of good bands out then.
But I'm talking about beyond that, Stephen. The onset of the sort of iPhone, it's just the same. It just feels like the one just continuous. There's nothing really unique. There's nothing happening. I mean, Gen X, they were Oasis and Blur.
Yeah.
And the millennials coming up, maybe not so much, to be fair, when I think about it. That's Ed Sheeran. So I'm part of the fucking problem. It's really Gen X. Gen X are the generation. They were the coolest fucking generation, let's be honest. They gave us Microsoft, they gave us Apple. I think. They gave us all the fucking great music. It's been fucking dead since then.
Also
dead.
Killed it.
Dead.
You talk about the iPhone.
Yeah, true.
The iPod. Yeah.
True. But it's just fucking that's the problem. Just fucking people are shite now.
Yeah, too much
Crap.
Too soon. I think that's what it was.
It
In
is.
that Gen X, it was the reinventors, and then the
But
just
independent, Stephen.
independent, yeah.
People, independent thinkers. People are mollycoddled now.
it became they were independent people that became commercialised and capitalists. That's what happens.
But then
That's
you've
what
got
happens in this
guys like
world.
Michael Stipe coming out and actually acknowledging that
Yeah,
and bringing it to everyone's attention. Don't become that.
yeah.
Be like me, an artist in my studio in New York. A lucky
Stepped
bastard.
away. We stepped away from it
He
all.
did before I could go and see him
Very
live.
much
You
like
got to
Jim
see
Carrey.
him.
Very much like Jim Carey.
He
Stepped
did,
away and he's
yes.
doing painting now.
Doing
He's
painting.
happy in life.
He's happy in life, but I'm
Yeah.
not, because you got to see him live at Stirling Castle before you went on holiday.
Yeah.
I've never got to see R.E.M.
I never
live.
got to see them as a 4-piece, so John, that was one of my biggest regrets. I had the chance to see them in '95 in Murrayfield, but I was in Gran Canaria, so I couldn't do anything about it. And then when I did see them in '99 in Stirling, they were a 3-piece. Bill Berry had retired, obviously had a brain aneurysm after the Monster Tour, did not want to do any, risk his life basically, being the drummer.
Yeah.
But yeah, a 3-legged dog is still a dog, I suppose.
Still a dog, yeah. I mean, I can say I've seen the Kings.
That guy, you mind him? Another one off my list.
Another one off my list. The Kinks. What, Ray Davies?
Yeah.
Not the Kinks. Where's Mickey Avery? Where's Peter Quayle?
I've seen The Who.
No,
Really?
I've seen the Who. Did you? John Entwistle. Fucking Keith Moon.
Keith Moon died like
Died
40
like
years ago.
Exactly. Fuck, have you seen the Who? You've seen Roger. I always fuck us up. Roger Daltrey.
Yeah.
I always want to say, for some reason, Dalton came into my head. I don't know
Timothy Dalton.
Timothy Dalton.
Roger
Moore.
Moore. Timothy Dalton.
Oh,
Roger
God.
Daltrey.
Pete Townsend and fucking
Roger
Daltrey.
Daltrey is James Bond.
But yeah, I mean, that's one of my biggest regrets. I didn't get to see Oasis live, and I could have. Fucking lazy bastard. I didn't get to see R.E.M. live, and I didn't get to see Beastie Boys live.
Or
And
Bowie. Bowie's
Bowie as well. He pulled out.
Dylan's going to be the next one, I know. I'm going to
Dylan.
regret this.
Yeah, I mean, we
I've
could
had
have
about
seen Dylan.
5 times. I've
Yeah.
had the chance, and I went, maybe next time.
But he always comes to the fucking smallest venue in Glasgow. There's an 8,000 fucking seater
Is
venue.
this the Armadillo?
He goes
He
to
always seems to
Armadillo.
pick that every time.
One of the biggest
Yeah,
fucking
wow.
indoor
It's
venues,
crazy.
music
Yeah.
venues in Europe, and he goes to this fucking exhibition centre that's like 800 seats. Bob fucking Dylan.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
He would fill the hydro, no problem. No
Fucking
problem.
Stephen.
I
I
don't
mean,
know if
I
I'd-
love Paolo Nutini. I know
Yeah.
you're not a huge fan of Paolo Nutini. He's doing like 3 fucking nights.
That's
in
putting it
the
nicely.
hydro.
Yeah.
He's doing 3. Steve, to be fair, Paolo was the last act signed by, and I can't remember his name, a legendary label.
Right,
What was
okay.
their name again? They signed the likes of the Rolling Stones.
Paul, not Polygram.
I think it was the Rolling Stones.
Decca?
Mate, I don't know if it was
No,
Decca. I
I
may be
don't know.
talking shite. But he was this guy, talent spotter, and he was the last act he signed was Paolo Nutini. So I know you're not a huge fan, but I do like Paolo. Paolo, that album that you, I think, fucking hated when he was
It's
doing
not my
that.
style, John. It's not.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with Paolo Nutini. I don't mind him as a person. He's actually a decent guy.
Yeah.
Just that style of music I don't like. It's just not my thing.
He's into the bluesy stuff, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean,
He's into all that.
John, you've got. I would say you've got a
fucking-
more
yeah.
a wider range than myself in terms of genres. I mean, you go and see your man of the
Andre
year,
Rieu.
Andre Rieu.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
something
going-
I
I'm going
couldn't sit
shortly.
down. I could not sit down and watch that.
Going shortly.
It's not that I don't think it's. I don't think it's nonsense or anything like that. I just don't have that patience and that attention to sit and appreciate that. It'd be a
Stephen,
waste
you
of
say
seat.
that, but I realised that I'm going just because he picked some of the best looking Dutch women on the planet to fucking perform.
Do you get
in
a
his
beer when you
orchestra.
go?
Yeah, a beer and a whiskey.
It's not too bad. Not too
and
bad.
I get
Then.
to just take
Chill
in.
out. Don't wear a red top though.
No, I did that, and he did a bull scene, a bull sequence. No, and don't fucking put your hair out when you've got a receding hairline and it's blonde and it's long and it's paper thin at the front, and then you end up on a screen in front of 8,500 fucking people. Not once, not twice, but about 5 times he kept fucking putting me up. I'm like, please don't do it.
No.
I cut my hair the next day.
Wow.
And I looked like Peter Weller for a while until it got worse. That's a whole other.
Peter Weller from
Not
Rom-Com.
Peter Weller. I do look Peter Weller now. Paul Weller. I do look at Peter Weller now. To be fair, I do.
Wow.
I could do RoboCop now.
I'm a changing man.
I look like Paul Weller. Now I look like Peter Weller.
Wow. We're going down that slippery road again.
The second night in a row, we're going to fucking end in disaster.
Yeah.
I did say, Stephen, to be fair, in my defence, 30 minutes ago, that I reached the zenith of the show and I was about to hit the nadir. I've just hit it with Peter Weller. Peter Weller's a fucking good dude. He's not got hair like that in real life. I'm doing him dirty. It was just a character. So I look like RoboCop now. And I looked like Paul Weller about 7 years ago. And that, my friends, is male pattern baldness. So look out for it. Get on the Propecia.
I've got it myself.
Yeah, but you've still got your hairline, Stephen. I've not got a hairline. And I don't give a fuck. I'll grow the beard back out. We're done, Stephen.
We're done and dusted,
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It was a good show.
Yeah.
A good podcast. Is Geek Edgar said.
Geek Ledger.
Geek Ledger.
Yeah.
I can't see. I can't see.
It's either Geek Ledger or Gecko.
Gecko. Mind Gecko. What did we call him?
Gordon.
Little Gecko.
Yeah, Gordon Gecko.
No, it was that little fucking lizard in that villa back in the day.
Yeah,
that
Lenny.
Villa. Lenny the lizard.
Yeah.
That infamous fucking villa when 3 bottles of bourbon were done in 10 days. What a fucking...
That's what happens when you don't have internet.
But we get fucking rattled every night and it was good. Yeah, as he says, it is life. I have acknowledged chat. Stephen's acknowledged chat when it comes in, which is not very often.
John, it's almost
more of a live podcast.
When you think about it, we could transfer this onto audio and it would actually, the way this show's went, it would work.
We did.
It would work.
I just stopped doing it.
Yeah,
we did.
It's one of those ones where if you stop doing it,
it doesn't
never gets done again.
No, I stopped playing Hogwarts Legacy like a week and a half in. I've not went
Stop
back.
drinking out my movie burner cups that I made, especially for the show, because you had COVID.
I blame COVID for it. I do that. I blame things. There was another cup and I had norovirus and I've not used that since. I bought new tumblers because of it.
Burn it.
Let 'em burn. Not seen that yet either.
No, I'm not getting any attention since I've seen it.
Halloween ends.
Yeah, it certainly does.
It does. For me, it's dead. What's your thoughts though on the topics we've touched on? What do you make of Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods? Opening weekend being absolutely horrific. One of the lowest in DCU. It's the DCU. The DC universe is sort of tutelage. Its era. $60 million. Box office worldwide. $30 million in the United States. I'm doing Donald Trump. What's your thoughts on it? Can this film survive into James Gunn's era of storytelling? I'll do that as well. Bill Gates. Paperclip.
Clinton.
Bill Clinton. I'm doing it again. I'm having a fucking nightmare tonight with names. Bill Gates may do that as well. I don't know.
He might, yeah.
Well, he's hoaching up a plan to kill everyone with nanobots. If you listen to Russell Brand.
He's already got me.
Yeah. He's got me as well. Yeah. So if he is bringing a plan together for nanobots to kill everyone through viruses and fucking vaccines for the virus, then we are fucked. Russell Brand.
Everybody dies.
Russell Brand's turned into he's a bit of a prick now.
Brand?
Yeah. Bit of a fucking anti-vaxxer, anti-COVID sort of thing. Millions and millions of people have died of COVID, mate. Yeah. It's undeniable. What are you doing? I used to like you. I still do like him. I'm talking shit. But look, I digress, man. Share your thoughts down below about Shazam. Share your thoughts down below about... What was the other topic? Alicia Silverstone trying to goad Brendan Fraser into...
End this now.
Brendan Fraser into a fucking career suicide by doing a rom-com sequel.
Yeah.
But we'll watch that at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on the Britpop documentary from Channel 5. Anything you feel compelled to share can go down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to your eyeballs. Do the same thing over on Twitch. Follow button, notifications button over there to see us doing the exact same thing over there on a different platform. People do watch us over there doing the same thing on a different platform. Regardless of what you do though, thank you once again for watching this fucking car crash. It is like the scientist in real time, not backwards, just descending into a fucking car crash. I am Chris Martin. I still have a jacket on just now. It's going off shortly. I will be walking through woods. I will end up on a mattress outside some fucking takeaway place. Bye bye guys. Yeah.